All right, buckle up because we are about to dive into one of the wildest, most high-stakes stories in the entire history of money. This is going to be good.
So here's the big question, right? How did a single family, starting from basically nothing, build a financial network so powerful it could fund empires and shape the course of history? I mean, how does that even happen?
Well, our story doesn't start in some grand palace or on a battlefield. Nope, it all starts in a small shop with one brilliant, game-changing idea.
Let's meet the man himself, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, born way back in 1744. Now, this guy wasn't a general or a king. He was a coin dealer in Frankfurt. But he saw something that nobody else did.
And this was his aha moment. Pow! He got it! Sure, kings have armies. But what makes an army march? Money. Cold hard cash. He realized that if you could control the flow of money, you could influence pretty much everything. And that idea? Well, that was the spark. Okay, so Mayer's got this incredible idea, but an idea that big needs a team to make it happen. And what a team he put together. Get ready for the Five-Brother Network.
And zoom! Just like that, Mayer sends his 5 sons out across Europe like financial commandos on a mission. Amschel, he stays in Frankfurt, running the command center. Then you've got Solomon heading to Vienna, Nathan to London, Kalman to Naples, and Jakob to Paris. They weren't just opening banks, they were building a web, a network connected by blood. And you know, this family setup, it gave them actual superpowers in the world of finance back then. Think about it. Their trust was unbreakable. They were brothers. They had their own private careers, which meant their information traveled at blazing speed. And because they were one family, they could move with total discipline and secrecy. No leaks. And this is what made them so different. You had the other banks, right? They were slow, often disconnected from each other, and nobody really trusted them. And then you had the Rothschild, a fast, trusted, continental machine. They were literally playing a different game than everyone else.
So, they've built a system. They have the team. But now it was time for the ultimate test, a massive, continent-spanning war that would push their network to the absolute limit.
And then, boom, Europe just explodes into chaos. The Napoleonic Wars are raging everywhere. And this wasn't just a war of cannons and soldiers anymore. It was a war of money. Finance had officially become a weapon.
And funding a war on this scale was a whole new beast. I mean, we're talking about paying hundreds of thousands of soldiers, buying mountains of supplies, and getting it all across a continent that's literally on fire. It was a logistical nightmare. And this is where the Rothschilds' machine became legendary. They figured out how to move gold to fund Britain's armies fighting Napoleon, sometimes smuggling it right through enemy territory. Their private network of couriers brought the market news and intelligence faster than any government. They were the essential financial plumbing in a world tearing itself apart.
So, the war is over. Napoleon is defeated. But for the Rothschilds, the work was just getting started. It was time to shift gears, from financing war to financing the entire future.
After the wars, their influence just went into overdrive. First, they loaned money to governments to help rebuild a shattered Europe. Then they poured money into the brand new railway systems crisscrossing the continent, basically laying the tracks for the industrial age. They backed mines, factories, and then they made one of their biggest plays ever.
1875, you got to remember this year. This is when the London branch helped the British government secretly buy a massive stake in the Suez Canal. I mean, this single deal helped secure the British Empire's main shipping route to India. We are talking about global-level power moves here. And you know, in the end, their most powerful asset wasn't gold. It was their name. In the Wild West of 19th century finance, everything felt risky. But if a government loan was backed by the Rothschilds, everyone knew it was solid. Their name was the ultimate seal of approval. It was literally as good as gold.
Now, when you get that rich and that powerful, you know what comes next, right? The stories, the legends. Some of them, pretty wild. So let's separate the myths from the machine.
I'm sure you've heard this one. It's the most famous story of them all. The legend goes that Nathan Rothschild got the news of Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo before anyone else, used that secret info to crash the stock market, and then bought up everything for pennies on the dollar. It's a fantastic story, right? Super dramatic, makes for a great movie scene. But is it actually true? And thud. Myth busted. Sorry to break it to you, but historians have pretty much shown that this story was a huge exaggeration that got twisted over time. But here's the thing, the truth is actually way more impressive.
Their success wasn't because of one lucky trick. It was because they built a disciplined, systematic financial machine that just plain out outworked and outsmarted everyone else day in and day out.
So why did these myths get so popular? Well, it was kind of a perfect storm, really. You had massive envy over their incredible wealth. You had suspicion because they were a Jewish family with connections all over Europe. And frankly, you had fear of this very private, very influential network that nobody fully understood. They became a perfect target for conspiracy theories.
Okay, so once you strip away all the myths and legends, what's left? What is the real, lasting legacy here?
It all boils down to this. They basically wrote the blueprint for modern global finance. Way before the internet, before telegraphs, they proved that a network built on lightning-fast information, total trust, and perfect coordination could be even more powerful than armies. And that leaves us with a simple, powerful truth. A lesson that's just as real today as it was 200 years ago. Empires might march on soldiers, but they endure on credit. And for a critical moment in history, nobody understood that better than the Rothschilds.